Hello, you beautiful people. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever on this earth you are tuning in from. You are listening to In the Know, the podcast about products, people, and PPE from Ansel Healthcare to you, the Fastenal seller. Today we got a great show. We're going to be speaking with a couple of our industry experts in impact gloves, Matt Herron and Adnon Afzul from the Ringers Company. We're also going to be introducing you to our Fastenal Hero of the Month, speaking to you about some of the successes that he has had while growing his business, and also cluing you in on some of the important changes within the Premier Alliance program, which has now been changed to FCAP, which is an acronym for the Fastenal Corporate Account Pricing Structure. So join us on this show. Can't wait to get started. Last month, we brought you an update on what Premier Alliance looks like now. We want to give you some more specifics about what that looks like with your business and how you grow it through Premier Alliance. Well, Premier Alliance, of course, has changed its name because it is now an Ansel-controlled program. It's now going to be called FCAP. It's an acronym that stands for Fastenal Corporate Account Pricing. To have access to FCAP, you're going to be asked to do a couple of things. First and foremost, engage with Ansel. Have an opportunity to come in and do an assessment with the territory manager or the national account manager to explore conversion opportunities. We would like for this corporate account structure, this pricing structure, to be used to grow the total business, not for channel shift, not for pocket shift, but to have new business both to Fastenal and to Ansel. The second thing we ask for you to do is to please reach out to your SBA team lead so that it may be thoroughly communicated within the Fastenal organization of your intention to reach out and to use this pricing. And of course, reach out to Gabriel Drolet, who handles the program from the Ansel side. It's really easy. It's really simple. We definitely want Fastenal to continue to use FCAP pricing to go after big, important pieces of business to grow your territories. So don't be afraid to ask. You can either call me or call Gabe Drolet. His email is gabrieldrolet@ansel.com. Most of you have already reached out to Gabe. That's great. You can reach out to me at scott.moore@ansel.com. We'd love to have these conversations. It's really important that we continue this national account push in our partnership together. All right, Fastenal team, we've got to talk about impact gloves. We've got a really neat, feature-rich line that has just recently became a part of the Ansel family called Ringers Gloves. And I'm sure a lot of you out there know about Ringers Gloves. Some of you may not know about Ringers. I've got two guys on the line with me now that I'd like to introduce to you that are industry experts in impact gloves. Adnon Afzul and Matt Herron are joining us right now on the line. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Scott.
So I'd like to start the conversation. A lot of our listeners know about Ringers. Some of our listeners don't. And because of that, I want to give Matt Herron an opportunity here to kind of give us a brief history lesson, because the history of Ringers is important because of the culture it built. Would you not agree with that?
Completely.
So give us that history lesson.
So Ringers was founded more than 25 years ago by a former diesel mechanic with the goal or vision to provide industry-leading product for specific vertical energy, material handling. Our goal and vision is to provide fit-for-purpose product that are tailored to those industries. And how we do that is we visit with those end users and find out exactly what they need. So in a nutshell, if you want to say Ringers provides industry-leading products to those workers who essentially use their hands to make a living.
Excellent. And Adnon, we'll take the conversation over to your end here. Where is this product line best positioned? What industries and verticals are we talking about specifically?
Yeah, Scott. So I think, traditionally a lot of our business has been oil and gas. That's been our core business for several years. When I joined Ringers 4 years ago, my focus was to help diversify the business, and we were able to do that, successfully. The key was, like Matt mentioned, focusing on really task-specific applications and heavy industrial applications, and that led us down the road to specific verticals and the needs within those verticals for impact gloves, and that's really led a lot of our innovation in oil and gas, and specific outside of that, we've had great success, for example, in mining, heavy industrial construction, and metalworking just off the top of my head.
Excellent. And with those industries and verticals, what's a good success story that we could share with our Fastenal friends?
Recently, we've had some really great success with Fastenal on the construction side. Hewitt Construction, one of the top constructors in our country, doing some major projects here in the South, some public transport projects in Arizona, for example, and we've been able to support them through Fastenal support with really specifically on our leather glove line. And the program has started out small in Texas and now expanded slowly but surely across the Western U.S. and even up into Canada. Construction is a space that we see some real signs of success with Fastenal recently, and going back as far as 2 or 3 years when we first started diversifying our portfolio with our customer base.
Excellent. And guys, I kind of will open this question up to the two of you. Some good success with Fastenal, growing like we should. Where would you like to see the expansion of this success to take way and really grow into the future with Fastenal?
One of the areas that I've noticed is really on the rise is transportation and logistics. And that's not necessarily a vertical you'd think of when it comes to heavy, bulky industrial impact gloves. But, we've got a lot of solutions in our lineup that not only would be useful in the construction of those sort of facilities that are being built across the U.S., but even in day-to-day operations of logistics, which is a very fast-growing vertical. I think that's a space that holds a great deal of opportunity for both the Ringers line and Fastenal as well.
Excellent. And guys, we really appreciate you joining us on the podcast today. I know that the listeners out there that are tuned in for this particular episode are very interested in finding out how they can put your product line to use in growing their business. If they have any questions, how can they get a hold of you guys?
Email or cell phone. You can reach me at matt.herron@ansel.com or via cell phone at 832-776-6515.
Same for me, Scott. My email is Adnon, ADNAN, .Afzul, AFZAL, @ansel.com. And my number, 713-922-4811.
Guys, again, we certainly appreciate the opportunity to talk shop with you. And we hope you'll come back on the show later on in the year and talk about some products.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Scott.
And now let's transition to a conversation that we had with our Fastenal Hero of the Month, Harrison Jennings, one of the most active proponents for Ansel products today in the market.
Appreciate you having me on, Scott, and I'm certainly happy to speak to kind of a history of partnership here with Ansel. So I got my start in a branch in Edison, New Jersey, going back to 2011. So I've been with the company for just over 10 years now. And I was in that capacity as a general manager in Edison, New Jersey for 4 years and really started to recognize the need, the demand for consumable safety supplies in that market specifically. And at that time, I started to work really closely with our regional safety specialist and made sure to get him involved actively, sell not just on price piece, but also to incorporate some additional value add from the safety perspective as well. So that's really where I was introduced to our vendor partners like Ansel, and taking that safety focus to work hand in hand in coordination with EH&S managers to really target that safety consumable piece. And that really led me to a role with the safety specialist group where I stayed for 4 years after I was the general manager there at Edison. So I spent some time with Joe Solheid and Brent Brader, who are really, really good mentors, and Tad Kalanko on the safety side of things within Fastenal, and learned a heck of a lot from those guys, and certainly appreciated my time spent there. Today, I'm on our national account team based out of the greater Philadelphia area, and I've been in this role coming up on 2 years now. So that's really how we got here, but certainly worked with Ansel in a lot of different capacities along the way.
And it's certainly appreciated. So when we looked over where you came from, what you did, one thing that kind of caught our attention is you closed an account in an area that not a lot of Fastenal sellers go into. Not a lot of Fastenal sellers even approach this vertical. and it's in the life sciences vertical, and the account's name was Ortho, and it ended up being a huge account, right?
Yeah, it was a really good opportunity, and certainly an industry that may not necessarily be our forte, but certainly, appreciated the support of Ansel going in on that opportunity and their expertise in that market as well to be successful there.
So what does a Fastenal seller have to keep in mind when they approach an account like Ortho, someone that's maybe outside of their comfort zone or their bailiwick, if you want to use that term?
I think the first thing to recognize is that there are competitor suppliers who focus specifically in that niche and in that market and have a really thorough understanding of the applications and the needs. So there is a need to have some level of expertise and understanding of that type of high-risk environment. In those lab pharmaceutical type atmosphere, there's a lot of high-risk chemical use, exposure to bloodborne pathogens, et cetera, to where we need to be confident that we're going in with a premier solution, a premier product. We're not necessarily going to go in and win with an inferior product on price point alone. There needs to be an understanding of the applications and a thorough understanding of that application to be able to compete with some of those suppliers that are really focused specifically in that area.
That's a good point. So, but this isn't a turnkey. This isn't a quick sale, to be quite honest. This took a while, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think going into that, we knew that it was going to be an extended sales process. There's a lot of decision makers involved in a facility of that size, a lot of different department heads from quality control to safety to purchasing, and really bringing all those folks together at the table and making sure that we're meeting all of their needs. And again, the quality piece is critical in that lab environment, but we also need to be able to demonstrate value in the way of cost savings or reduction in consumption or whatever approach we're taking. We need to keep the purchasing folks happy, but also keep in mind that the quality control, safety, and other factors involved there. So
you had mentioned expertise and what that means as far as having confidence in a product line and bringing value to the way you sell. What was your experience with working with Ansel in that regard?
Yeah, so from Ansel, I think first and foremost, support from multiple levels. We have a regional representative to help with that face-to-face interaction, but then also support Scott from your level, from Gabriel, from Jamie Ashworth and other folks involved to make sure that we were getting all the attention and support we needed to build out a proposal that wasn't just solely focused on price point or kind of limited in the value proposition that we were putting together. It was really comprehensive in that approach. So, I think we don't talk enough about the technology of disposable garments and how that evolves year to year and subtle changes in quality of disposable garments and gloves, and being able to have someone to really peel back the layers of what's going on, identify the needs within a customer facility, and make sure that glove we're proposing is unique and specifically designed for the purposes at hand was really helpful. So Ansel certainly brought that to the table from multiple levels, but just some technical knowledge, the product solution, but also a larger understanding of the applications and the environment that we were in.
That's a really good point. Harrison, we really appreciate you joining us, but before I let you go, one last question for you. If there are any of your colleagues out there that are looking to get more involved with selling through Ansel, or maybe even specifically with the life sciences vertical, what is some of the advice, some of the professional advice you'd like to extend to them about selling through Ansel or with Ansel?
I think what everyone knows is the quality product is the premier solution, and that's just one piece of the puzzle. I think understanding who your account representatives are can support you in that sales process, both locally and nationally, depending on what capacity you're acting in on the Fastenal side of the table. Knowing who to go to and getting those Ansel representatives involved early in the process as opposed to later on can really help us structure that conversation so that we understand comprehensively what the customer's needs are and can bring a solution that's fitting to the table. One, I think keep your eyes peeled and identify the opportunities for partnership there with Ansel, but then tap those folks in early and get them involved in the sales process on the front end and customer facing to ask the right questions and understand where we can bring some additional value.
Harrison, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your wonderful insight on this account. And for our listeners out there, if you have any questions about Harrison and his success with ortho, just reach out to me or to Gabriel Drolet. We'd be happy to help. And once again, thank you very much for your time, and we'll talk real soon.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Scott.
Thanks. Well, that's all the time we got for this week's show. Thanks for joining us on In the Know. If you have any questions, please reach out. Any type of opportunities that you may want to explore with Ansel Healthcare, please do the same. Until next time, be good to yourself.